employees, 2 teachers for sexting minors, a high school janitor for having violent infant porn, the worst our sheriff had ever seen. The janitor and the man he was working with were convicted with 1,700 years of prison. Because of awareness presentations, as Rob says, we've been responsible for 4 arrests. They were running 4 homes from Martin County to Lake Worth prior to the pandemic. Also a man who was luring children into his van with ice creams at the bus stop. There have been 5 arrests for infant porn, and a man in Jensen Beach was arrested in 2024 for taking photos of neighborhood children and using AI to strip their faces, put it on child porn, market it worldwide, which can later be used to sextort the family and the child through face recognition. Now, most notably, last month, December 2024, Stuart Police arrested 3 men for going after a child by offering gifts for the purpose of grooming. Thankfully, they were arrested just in time. We also helped to rescue 2 children out of a Roblox game vault. They were being exposed to unspeakable virtual sexual violence because a local grandmother attended one of our awareness presentations. They were rescued. Understand that the arrests and convictions all involve child porn, as most arrests do. 88% of all pornography now shows violent scenes, and pornography is the only unregulated industry on the face of the earth. The good news is that Martin County, Florida Faith Alliance, and Indian River School Districts, employees and students are experiencing live trainings and powerful videos in curriculum. We are affecting over 70,000 children, 7,000 employees in 2025 across 2 counties with plans to grow. We work with Florida House Representative Toby Overdorf, and we helped to get Bill HB 3 just passed. And the good news is that Pornhub, one of the largest porn industries in the world, has just pulled out of Florida as of January 1st. So our call to action, that's a big win. So our call to action to commissioners is to join the Ashley Moody 100% Club, which is a very simple club that's going statewide. And you have a note there from Toby Overdorf to ask that you join also and train all your employees in a very simple online program. And it's a free program, and it's a good way to get your employees who are engaged with your community to be able to recognize the signs and know what to do. And so I provided you with links, and I will email you this packet so that you can just easily go to the links. And our second call to action is to attend our Day of Defense in depth, How to Protect Children. And I really want to thank Commissioner Campy. He has been championing this cause for a long time, and you attended our Day of Defense on Saturday. Thank you so much. And also Commissioner Vargas, I know that you're a champion of this also. I know all of you care about this issue. So I want to thank you. It's time to unite and fight child trafficking. And we all say together, not on our watch. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. Thank you. Our next proclamation is one celebrating the 100th anniversary of the founding of Martin County, and here to accept that proclamation is Evan Anderson.
It all began in 1924 when residents of Stuart, located on the north end of Palm Beach County, created a committee to take necessary steps to establish a new county during the 1925 session of the Florida legislature because they felt they were politically underrepresented. Fast forward to 2025 as we celebrate the centennial of Martin County, an amazing place to live, work, and play, complete with a vibrant arts and culture scene, strong local economy, and beautiful waterways. This year-long centennial celebration provides residents and visitors a unique opportunity to reflect upon the area's rich history and cultural heritage and to celebrate the thriving, successful community that Martin County has become. And here to accept, we have Evan Anderson, who is our Historic Preservation Board Chairman.
Looks like
Good.
40.
Good morning, Commissioners and Madam Chair. Evan Anderson. You may have already said some of this, so you may have stolen some of my thunder, but I wrote a little blip. Petitioned by local businessmen who had the foresight to recognize the area's many offerings and need for local representation. Governor John W. Martin agreed, and Martin County was founded on May 30th, 1925. You may not know this, but Martin County was formed from portions of existing St. Lucie County for the north portion of the county and Palm Beach County on the south. In the roaring 20s, our area boomed with thriving agriculture, growing vegetables, citrus, pineapple, and cattle farming as mainstays, along with having, quote, the best fishing and hunting to be found anywhere in the United States. Still considered the sailfish capital of the world, many things have changed, but not our standing as a great community and our appreciation for the natural resources we consume and enjoy. 100 years later, here we are working to preserve and learn more about our past. This May does not only coincide with Martin County's centennial, it's also National Historic Preservation Month, that's May. Martin County also celebrates its Preservation Month in May through the many free events put on by local businesses and volunteers at our county's historic locations. To those of you watching the meeting today, please keep this in mind and go out and explore some of these events in May. Flyers and schedules will be available both online and at the area's libraries and public facilities in April. Let this be our best year so far, and let us work together to preserve the many reasons people want to live and raise their families here. Thank you for the opportunity to declare that 2025 is our Martin County Centennial.
Evan Anderson? Me neither.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a construction track.
That's a clever
Next on our agenda is public comments. You will have 3 minutes to express your thoughts to us. The first public request form is Jeff McLean, followed by Gail Goldie.
And just as a reminder, at 2 minutes and 45 seconds, you'll have a beep that gives you 15 seconds to conclude your comments. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good morning. I have never seen an HOA override city, county, state, federal laws, or zoning. I am looking for the board to stand up for the small business in Martin County. I'm reaching out to the board today in regard to an issue I am having as a small business owner here in Martin County. My company is MPW Filter Worldwide. We distribute air, oil, and fuel filters worldwide for marine vessels of all sizes. We are looking to bring 2 more lines of manufacturing to Florida, since 90% of our business is marine related. The problem we are having is that we purchased a building in an LI zoned area on Jack James Drive. The HOA is telling me what we can and cannot do inside my own warehouse. I was approved by Martin County as marine and marine manufacturing wholesaler and approved by the fire marshal. When does an HOA know more than a zoning and fire marshal? The HOA is trying to insure the building as man caves instead of the intended use as LI zoned buildings. In Martin County, man caves are zoned GC, general construction. An LI business cannot move into a GC area, but a man cave can move into a light industrial area and change the zoning and the rules. It is like putting a teenager in a 55-year-old community. It doesn't work. In an LI usage area, it should only be business use. By letting these man caves come in, they are hurting a small business person now, because the warehouse spaces are so overpriced that the average business cannot afford to operate within the county. So now they moved up to an area that is more affordable. What does a man cave give to the community regarding? Nothing. A small business creates sales tax, jobs, and sells to local clientele. Man caves are an extension of residential use and do not belong in an LI zoned area. Look what just happened 2 doors down from my warehouse. The feds just busted a marijuana grow inside my building because they said they were using it for storage. Another man cave in my building was using his warehouse as a shooting range until he shot through the building and almost hit somebody. The HOA never reported this to local enforcement because he was on the board. An HOA is used for common areas, which is outside the building. An HOA cannot tell you what to do inside your home, so why should they have the right to tell a small business what to do inside? Thank you. I've talked to a few of you. You know my predicament. But this is an ongoing thing in the marine industry. We cannot afford to stay here because of everything. And these man caves are overtaking everything, and even zoning.
Sir, your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gail Goldie is next, followed by William Corbin. I'm sorry, before you begin, Commissioner Vargas.
That's an old,
Okay,
thank you.
proceed.
Thank you. Happy New Year, Commissioners and staff. First, I'd like to say I wish you all a happy and a healthy new year and good decision-making in 2025 with God's help. The situation surrounding the Brightline Station grant application raises concerns about the integrity of the decision-making process. In recent articles by several news outlets, the focus was on communication from County Administrator Don Donaldson to City Manager Mike Mortel. The letter highlighted a specific clause in the interlocal agreement between Martin County and Stewart that requires the city to support efforts to secure grant funding for a new train station. Donaldson's message also implicated that the county might pursue future actions should the city fail to endorse this initiative. The city has yet to issue a formal letter of support for the proposed train station. One critical legal question: is the interlocal agreement still in effect since the county first relieved Brightline of its contractual obligations, thus altering the agreement? It seems overly optimistic to believe that a mere letter from the city could sway the Department of Transportation's assessment, which should be grounded in objective criteria like need and financial viability, not wishful thinking and political gambits. Since it's doubtful that such an aggressive request for funding will be granted, is the county plotting its next move? The notion that a potential lawsuit from Martin County against Stewart stemming from the city's reluctance to advocate for the project hints at more strategic maneuvering that could imply a troubling ulterior motive. The county preemptively threatened lawsuits when the city rescinded its agreement with Brightline and has since desperately searched for a basis. Such actions resemble extortion and suggest that there may be a deliberate attempt to manipulate political dynamics, undermining the straightforward grant application process. Because of this behavior, the idea of a preconceived plan to coerce the city to participate financially, possibly obligate it to $45 million, does not seem far-fetched. It is critical to prioritize transparency and fairness in the process rather than allowing political machinations to dictate outcomes. Why are we indulging in legal posturing instead of focusing on genuine community needs? It is truly appalling that the county has even entertained the idea of suing the city, which threatens to deepen divisions within our community. Neighboring officials are supposed to cooperate and get along, not bicker over political differences. Stewart's residents are not just city citizens, but part of the county, sharing resources, challenges, and a collective future. The thought of local governments treating each other like adversarial parties is.
Ma'am, your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. William Corbin is up next, followed by Robert Aronson. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Hope you're doing well today. William Corbin here, Executive Director for the Business Development Board, Martin County. I've got two matters I'd like to make comment on. The first is regarding the Warehouse and Condo Association issue that the gentleman before me spoke about. Second comment relates to agenda item number 25-0221, approval of commercial lease with Daher Aerospace. So first, briefly, I'd like to piggyback off of Mr. McLean's earlier comments. Mr. McLean, as you know, is owner of MPW Filter Worldwide and finds himself in a difficult situation with the condo association where his business is located. I understand and can appreciate that municipalities oftentimes tread carefully as to their level of involvement in disputes of this nature. That being said, I urge you all to please strongly consider directing county staff to review the zoning rules and regulations as they relate to what are known as man caves, and look into what can be done to prevent situations like this from happening in the future. For my second comment, I'd like to respectfully request your approval of the commercial lease with Daher Aerospace. The BDB had the privilege of working with them when they first arrived back in the summer of '22, a family-owned business that's founded in France. They manufacture aircraft, produce aerospace equipment, and provide logistical and supply chain services. Now, although it has several facilities throughout North America, the company credits its acquisition of the facilities at Witham Field with solidifying its position as a Tier 1 supplier for aviation companies like Boeing and Gulfstream. The storied history of Witham Field, its proximity to Cape Canaveral, its strategic location to a redundancy of shipping options all helped seal the deal for Daher. Fun fact, the state of Florida Forest Service recently bought 2 Kodiak planes, which are manufactured by Daher to help fight forest fires. Daher also had a display at the Stewart Air Show and conducted a career pathways workshop and demonstration session with local students interested in the aviation industry. And just last week, it was announced that Canada will be using 2 newly purchased TBM 960 aircraft from Daher to fight wildfires during the 2025 fire season. For context, these planes cost nearly $5 million. I also wanted to briefly highlight the significant economic benefits this project will bring. $30 million of capital investment and 180 high-quality jobs with an average salary of $86,000, which is a direct payroll impact of nearly $15 million annually. There are also additional ripple effects to local suppliers and service providers. Their investment is projected to support about 425 regional jobs when accounting for indirect and induced employment, significantly bolstering the county's workforce. Once operational, they'll continue contributing to the county's tax base, generating approximately $1.5 million annually in state and local tax revenues through employee spending, business operations, and related economic activity. This project, it represents a strategic investment in the county's economic future. It's more than just a facility. It catalyzes sustainable economic growth, job creation, and community prosperity. Thank you for your service today to the community and for your consideration of the proposed lease agreement.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Got the landing.
Mr. Aronson will be followed by Dottie Lancey.
Good morning, Commissioners. Morning, Ms. Vargas.
Good morning.
I had sent Ms. Vargas an email, but the highest thing that I have felt from you is that you said you were going to walk my property, and I haven't felt like that since Woodstock. That's how high I got from. Does that look to me like you were going to help me? Because the former commissioner didn't help me, and that's why my wife had a brain aneurysm and a nervous breakdown because we weren't able to build our house for 37 years in Sugar Hill. We're the only house, a piece of property with floodlands, wetlands. Out of 100 homes there, we're the only one. So I basically asked you to help me fix it because the water drained onto my property. And I'm not accusing any engineer or whatever, but it's a fact because my brother-in-law has been here several times. And the former commissioner did nothing. Said he'd call him, said he'd get back to him. This is the time I was taking care of my wife. To find that you can't build your home because of wetlands after 37 years of basically trying to build your dream home was unbelievable. You know, it was just, you know, 1 out of 100. And then I was told that someone in the community got a political help, which I don't know about yet. But, you know, that's why you investigate things. But I call the internet the devil's tool, because that's what it is, the devil's tool. But I really would like to find out what's going on with the property, my property, and that they haven't cleared it in 38 years that I know of. The dredge has never been dredged, and all the water went onto my acre in the cul-de-sac. So that's it. I know how you are with your 3 minutes from the last time. That was cool, you know. Get out. But, I mean, this is serious stuff. This is not something that is, you know, okay. You know, you have a $50 million deal at this train station, and that brought flashback to memory. Because when I was a Teamster, the Italian guy took $50 million from a company. So they did a 3-page, full-page ad in New York. I got the money back because that's the type of guy I am. I mean, I went after the guy. They said, oh, he's a mafia guy in Italy. Well, he paid, he got the money back, thanks to me. And I got a big...
Sir,
standing
your time is
ovation.
up.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner Vargas.
Yes, hi, Mr. Aronson. Thank you so much for coming. Very briefly, I finally was able to sit down with some of our directors here at the county yesterday. Of course, you know, we had the holidays.
Right.
And it's really skeletal here, and I'm pretty chock-a-block with meeting a lot of folks and giving them the time and going to events that I have to do. So you'll be hearing from us imminently.
All right.
All right? So that's what I can say at this point, just to be able to let you know that we appreciate your trip over here, and I do appreciate your concern.
All right. And in that email, I said I'd take her to lunch. Someone says, you can't do that. Why not? Well, you know, you walk the property, you want to go to lunch, you know.
Thank you.
That's how I work. I have no enemies.
Thank you. Dottie Lancey is next, followed by Linda Smith.
Morning, everybody. That's a hard act to follow. But anyway, I'm Dottie Lancey. I'm from Hutchinson Island. I live over there, and I'm a member of the Hutchinson Island Preservation Initiative, or better known as HIPPY. And anyway, I'm here today because I wanted to make you aware of a project. And this project is being proposed in the Riverwatch community on Hutchinson Island. And it is about to be certified by FDOT, so not FDOT, but the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. And it concerns a dredging in a perpetual conservation area. It's an easement, I guess they call it a perpetual conservation easement, and it borders on the Indian River Lagoon, and it will allow gasoline-powered boats to navigate through this easement. Although this easement is technically in St. Lucie County, it is adjacent to the mosquito impoundment in Martin County. It is a very environmentally sensitive location and a birthing place for manatees. And I did bring a picture that was taken by a resident of Riverwatch, and it shows, this was taken last week. It shows a manatee there, a manatee mother with her calf. And this lady in the development there does go around in her kayak a lot and does take pictures. And I noticed your calendar out here, and this picture, if you can see it, looks very much like the easement that I'm talking about. It's very pristine. People go out there in their kayaks, and it is in danger of being dredged. If it's allowed to proceed, the seagrass there will be destroyed, and it's just starting to grow again in this region. And further pollution will negatively affect the water quality in the Indian River Lagoon. Of course, the pollution is not going to stop in St. Lucie County. It's going to affect the whole lagoon right into Martin County, too. Our organization, as well as many conservation organizations like the Guardians of Martin County and the Indian River Keeper, have been making every effort to stop this project. We believe it is illegal since the conservation area in question was established in perpetuity. And also, the plan calls for disposing the sludge from the dredging onto Martin County property there in the mosquito impoundment. We have obtained a letter from the Public Works Department in Martin County here objecting to that part of the project of putting the sludge in our area. I don't know exactly how but I hope the commissioners will support our efforts in preventing this harmful project from happening. Thank you very much for the time.
Linda Smith is next, followed by Tammy Mazzota.
Good morning. Linda Smith. I do live in Jupiter, but as a Sierra Club Loxahatchee Group Executive Committee Chair, I represent members and supporters in Martin County as well. And Sierra Club stands with Dottie on this issue that she just brought up. It is in Port St. Lucie, so I wasn't expecting to talk about it here. I want to welcome the new commissioners, and it's a pleasure to meet you folks. I look forward to working with all of you and your constituents on environmental matters. I have been reviewing your 2025 legislative program draft, and there's a lot in this that I think we can work together on. If there are any proposed changes, since it's a draft, I hope it's only to strengthen it. We all support funding for the Comprehensive Everglades Restoration Plan, or CERP. We also support the acquisition of conservation lands, including Palmar, which impacts Martin and Palm Beach counties. And Martin County's Blueway is so very critical. Water is a critical issue all across Florida. Septic conversion has long been a priority for the Sierra Club and important to preserve and heal our waterways. Along with reducing biosolids in our waterways, we need to reduce and eliminate fertilizer runoff during the rainy season and the hurricane season. We also need to increase native plant planting. Dedicated coral reef and resilient coastlines and the Indian River Lagoon and Loxahatchee Preserve initiatives are all obviously no-brainers. Many, if not all, of the priorities will impact our water quality. The Sierra Club also supports improving public transportation, but not so much expanding roadways. If you build them, they will come. And so we encourage development in the urban core and infill in existing open properties and use them more effectively, not expanding into farmland and open space. Urban infill taxes do not pay for the infrastructure increases. Buildings on remote farmland and open space actually cost more to all of the Martin County residents, not good physical policy. And finally, please support SB 80, proposed by Gail Harrell to protect our state parks. This needs a companion House bill at this point, and support by all senators and representatives. We need to make this bill veto-proof to protect Jonathan Dickinson State Park. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Tammy Mazzota is next, followed by Kathy Whitehouse.
Happy New Year and welcome. So I just have a few things here. I want to tell you all, the meeting in December, November, I don't know, the last meeting, it was canceled and I didn't realize it until it was too late. St. Barcelona had a Christmas jamboree at Pirates Cove Resort, and it was phenomenal. I wish I would have had the information to you ahead of time, but this year, you'll all make sure that everyone is aware of it. It turned out to be phenomenal. We had food and music, Santa Claus, we had a snow pile, we had raffles. The kids got free stockings, pictures with Santa. I mean, it just went on. Save Our Salerno Facebook page has got a lot of pictures. You can go check them out. It turned out to be a really great event. And we're excited to do another one. I have a question about the tiny homes that are supposed to be going in the area. There's some confusion. I have people asking me questions, and I have no answers. A clarification of what's actually going on right now, if they're on hold, if they're waiting for some kind of permits. If I could get some kind of answer on that, it would be great. And then New Monrovia. Mr. Stokes told us last year that we would have an answer in December on grants. There's been no word at all on any kind of grants if they went through for the septic to sewer. So if we could get some kind of answer, find out if we got any kind of grants, that would be really nice. And let's see, I've noticed a lot of complaints and emails to you about the meeting times. I do agree. If we could work out a meeting time, even if it's, the people are not asking for every night meetings. If we could throw in an evening meeting once a month and a morning meeting or whatnot. One of the girls actually did a lot of search on other commissioners and commissions that do meetings at a later time for their communities. And then I have a question about the NAC meeting money being used for the paving of George's Way. We're not saying that George's Way doesn't need to be paved. It was like $57,000, but there seemed to be no transparency in there. There was no public input whatsoever on the spending of this money. And like I said, we're not saying that it shouldn't be paved, but how about, like, we have New Monrovia's septic to sewer we've been waiting on for over 10 years they've been waiting. And we're waiting on grants. So how about grants on these new projects, like the mooring field or the pavings, and use that NAC money in our tax money to do what's been waiting the longest. Fix what's broken before we add more.
Ma'am,
And other than that, I want to let you know that tomorrow morning, Casey,
your time is up. Thank you.
is going to be a big segment on the Innovation Hub.
Your time is up.
Thank you. Our last request to speak is Kathy Whitehouse.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to tell you about our residents of Canada.
Get closer to the mic.
We have 294 residents trying to turn out on a highly developing traffic area as they leave our community and try to merge onto Martin Highway. On a daily basis, we compete and deal with three scenarios. Firstly, the completion of the FDOT construction project on East Martin Highway has gone from 4 lanes to 2 from the bridge. As westbound drivers traverse over Newfield Parkway and Martin Highway, it creates a funnel effect where there is a competition for jockeying and speeding drivers to get ahead of the other guy because the lane narrows down to 1 lane. Secondly, across from our entrance of Martin Highway, our drivers compete with the Palm City Sod Business and Pinder's Nursery. Each of these businesses have a steady flow of deliveries and outgoing product and large construction vehicles. Thirdly, from the west, a solid team of commercial vehicles, school buses, and commuter traffic are all headed toward the turnpike and points east of Palm City to Stewart. They speed along Martin Highway from the west and never confront a traffic light until they meet Newfield Parkway. The data that the FDOT has and told me was obsolete. The population has greatly increased and continues to do so with the development of Newfield Parkway. Our responses to these non-transparent claims continue to be FDOT guidelines are not laws. Traffic studies are point-in-time indicators. They do not cover the expansive day of traffic. Further, FDOT's study does not provide a forecast of the expanding traffic due to the future development and residential housing and businesses near West I-95 and that in the Newfield Parkway development. The only valuable data the FDOT traffic study provides was a clear need for widening Martin Highway and the bridge, which has been done up to Newfield. Our Canopy Creek community has gathered over 473 signatures on a petition supporting installation of a traffic light to date. We continue to gain support for the light, but need your help to protect our citizens. We are asking you, the commissioners, to help us by providing your written endorsement, perhaps some funding, and other support to convince the Florida
Ma'am, your time
Department
is up. Thank
of
you.
Transportation to help us.
Your time is up.
Thank you. And next up, and this is just guesswork, is Frank McChrystal.
For the record, my name is Frank McChrystal. If my comments seem scatterbrained and slightly schizophrenic, it's somewhat purposeful. I'd like to start off by pissing everybody off with who they think are my friends by saying, hey, Dougie, we miss you already. We didn't agree on much, Doug, but I always respected you for your professionalism and how much you were always prepared, and how you were really, in my mind, not the true politician because you always kind of did what you said, and there's no gray area with you. So, and every time I drive down Green River Parkway, the completed Green River Parkway, so that I can avoid US 1 all the way to Fort Pierce, I think, man, I fought this thing for so long, and now I use it at all times. And I'm thinking, this is the Doug Smith Parkway. Absolutely. So, Dougie, we miss you already, and hope you're doing well. Here we are, 2025. Seems like yesterday, 1998, when our town was a very quiet, peaceful town before the illegal extension of runway 1230, I guess it is. And here we are in the midst of not Republicans versus Democrats, but global elites versus populist nationalists. And you as a board need to decide where you're at. And the best representation for me is, as I drive to Indiantown, a spot just after the huge storage buildings and commercial center, there's a spot where you can look to the right and you can see this big 40-foot berm with all these pines on top of it thrown in there. They're doing a good job of transplanting native trees. They've learned that for sure. But, and then to your left, you see Old Florida. And as far as the eye can see, as far as your eye can see, you see Old Florida. Okay? And to the right, you see the elite's view of our county. We will buy all your land and we will build our little communities, our little golf communities inside of these, and we will build these 40-foot berms so that we don't have to even pretend that you populist little people even exist. As far as Brightline, put it on the fairgrounds. But we know you won't do that because the airport interests have their plans for the fairgrounds. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address us from the public? Yes, sir. Please come forward, and when you're finished, please fill out a request to speak form. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't have it. Okay, please come forward.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
My name is John Tellem. We have a piece of property.
Close to the mic.
We have a piece of property in Palm City that we were trying to build a dock on. For the last 3.5 years, we were given 3 different building permits. They were taken away from us. We've not received a reason why they were taken away. I gave you all a package last week regarding this. Did you receive them? Okay. At this point, I really was unprepared for this. I don't know how these meetings go, but we'd like to find out, number one, why our permits were taken away from us. There was an existing dock. They've even refused us to the ability to repair the dock. We have 5 very large boats that are tied up without safety. The last storm that came through broke the dock in half, and one of my boats ended up in my neighbor's backyard. One of them sank because our electrical permit was taken away from us without cause. And quite honestly, I'd like just to figure out exactly what we need to do in order to get back to where we were as far as our permits were concerned. I dropped off some additional paperwork that I had earlier that will give you a better idea of what is happening with us, with the building department, specifically Jeff Daughtry and Mr. Donaldson. We have not been able to receive a straight answer from any of them, other than that our property is too small to do what has already been done, which was to rebuild a dock that was already there for the last 25 years. So with that said, I thank you for your time, and if possible, I'd like to get back the original copies that I gave to the bailiff.
Thank you, Mr. Tellem.
Thank you.
Commissioner Campy.
I am familiar with your story, sir. It's a much more complicated story than you're presenting, but I will arrange a meeting with our staff and you.
Thank you very much.
Would anyone else like to address us this morning? In that case, we will go to commissioner comments. Commissioner Vargas.
Okay, I'm thrilled to be back, 2025. In early December, I attended the Florida Association of Counties Conference in Tampa that was aligned with the Institute of County Government in partnership with the University of Florida. And some of the topics that we covered: ethics, public records, sunshine laws, workshops. What's the purpose for setting a standard for public officers and employees? Promotes transparency, objectivity, which in turn provides a method for public reporting, promotes confidence in government, and the primary duties of county commissioners. At that particular conference, I also attended New Commissioner Boot Camp. It was a whole week, just chock-a-block full of information, and we were able to garner a lot of information. How to be a successful county commissioner, and it enables one to develop a personal philosophy of government. It distinguishes us also between making policy and day-to-day administration. In addition to our manager, we embrace teamwork, and routinely with fellow commissioners, staff, and members of the community. We show value and respect to everyone. We maintain the integrity that has been placed in us for our position, and we do appreciate the public and your comments. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. Ask for help when you need it, and this is what we're asking you to do. And ask for opinions and listen to everyone. In mid-December, I attended a Western Lands workshop presented by 1,000 Friends of Florida. It was really informative, and I'd like to thank the Guardians of Martin County for hosting this event. I also attended the Martin County Business Awards December luncheon. It was presented by the Business Development Board of Martin County, the Partners in Economic Leadership, working with strategic partners, not just for Martin County, but the City of Stuart and the Village of Indiantown. These are economic and chamber partners, developers, real estate partners, capital finance, education, federal and state regional partners. There was a few companies that stood out and did win awards. One is Parker Smith. He's a graduate of Project Lift, which is amazing. A young entrepreneur. He founded his business at 16 years old. He has a marine services business, so he provides mates, captain services, washing, detailing boats. A young man that is going places. Another one is Security Solutions, new entrepreneur. It specializes in retail theft to prevent it, that is, counterfeit currency, refund fraud, and fraudulent receipts. We just had a busy retail season, so I'm certain they were called upon. Another one is Trench Diggers, 2 fellows. They're newcomers. They have handheld gas-powered, outfitted with single dual blades. Another one is called Grind Hard. It's a company to watch. It found a solution to national security. So what does it do? It manufactures ammunition, expanded into Indiantown. Unfortunately, most of the ammunition has been manufactured overseas. So what they did is they felt, because it was such a threat from foreign governments, and especially today we have to be aware, they have the copper casings to primers from arms industry. And the manufacturer of the year, aircraft manufacturing, parts for aircraft for nearly every U.S. military or NATO fighter. And we want this on USA companies and our grounds, not overseas. So, you know, the thing is that these entrepreneurs, whether they're new or newly minted, they're developing their models for students, readying them for manufacturing jobs after high school education. When I taught, I thought everybody had to go to college. I have since changed my philosophy. I'm very big on VOTEC, and certainly if you can have some sort of a residency within a company, more better. So the headquarters, we also have another manufacturer, headquarters for a fragrance manufacturer, and it created scents for automotive, home, commercial use. Over 90% of the clients are international, so we're becoming an international known town. Community and county. And also we have them serving companies that cannot obtain the products, and they're tapping us over here. Day after New Year's, I was one of the elected officials to throw a first pitch for the senior softball at Langford Park. And also our Sand Dune Cafe on beautiful Jensen Beach had a fire early New Year's Day. There are additional restroom facilities there, and our Parks and Recreation Department is working to enhance this area, this beautiful area of Jensen Beach. I'll reserve my other comments for later, after. I just want to leave you with one thought. Ideas have consequences or benefits. Bad ideas have victims. Thank you.
Commissioner Capps.
It's been a very busy time since our last meeting on December 10th. You know, because in December we only have one meeting. So I wanted to mention a few things that I've had the privilege to be involved in the last month or so, just to bring some attention to these organizations. On December 21, I had the privilege of attending a dedication for 2 Habitat for Humanity houses in Petway Village in Hobe Sound. And I see Mike Redling out here. He's the director of Habitat for Humanity, and it was great to be at that event, and we welcome these 2 new families to Hobe Sound. And then on December 22, I had the privilege of administering the oath to the new Hobe Sound Chamber of Commerce Board, which is an organization that I've been active in for many years. Great group. On January the 2nd, I joined Commissioner Vargas at Langford Park in her district in Jensen Beach to throw an opening pitch for the Treasure Coast Senior Softball Association. And I was quite concerned about whether my pitch would go okay, because I haven't done that for many decades, and somehow I lucked out and threw a decent pitch, so I was grateful. On January the 7th, we had the privilege of attending the swearing-in of our new sheriff, the 9th sheriff of Martin County, John Budenseek. And I'll mention Commissioner Campy, he's one of District 3's finest, and from Hobe Sound, and he's a friend of mine since childhood, so he's a great guy. And we look forward to his leadership of the Sheriff's Department. On January 10, I got to speak to the Jupiter Island Residents Association at Town Hall on Jupiter Island about matters affecting District 3, the southern part of the county. And that was a great discussion. And then lastly, on January 10, I took a tour of Martin County Fire Rescue, which was really a fun afternoon. District Chief Scott Fisk was my tour guide. A real nice guy. We visited the Port Salerno station, which I learned is the busiest of all of the, I think, 12 fire stations in Martin County. It's actually one of the busiest in the country, surprisingly, for a fire station, as far as the number of calls they received and stuff. We visited the Hutchinson Island Station, which is Martin County's newest fire station, right across the street from Indian River Plantation there. And we visited the Lifestar hangar at the airport, which is the helicopter that transports people to trauma centers. Boy, what important work they do. And it just seemed to be a really top-flight organization. We visited the training facility and the fire buildings at the airport, where they'll be training up the new fire recruits. And then we witnessed a heart attack simulation event that really took me by surprise. One of the firemen, just out of the blue, began to pretend that he was choking, and it looked real. At first, I believed it. I mean, he fell down. It was like, regurgitating, and he was replaced by a dummy on the floor. And then there was a whole group of firemen that surrounded this dummy and performed all kinds of medical procedures. They had an enormous amount of equipment. Everybody had a job, and there was another guy who just kind of stood up telling everybody what to do. And it was an amazing display of professionalism and skill. I was quite taken by it. And then we ended that tour with going over to the lifeguard offices at the beach at Jensen Beach. I'm sure many of you know where those offices are to see their very important work at educating the public about how to be safe at the beaches and performing those rescues when needed. So those are some of the things I've been involved in the last month, and I just wanted to bring some attention to those groups.
Thank you. Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. Happy, healthy New Year to everyone. A couple of things quickly. We have a Eagle Scout recipient, a young lady, believe it or not. It's the second one, I believe, in Martin County's scouting history. Her name is Catherine Steele. Her last name might sound very familiar to some of us. Her dad is a judge. Normally, the county issues proclamations to Eagle Scout recipients. The timing on this particular one, based on the holidays, got away. Her Eagle Scout Court of Honor will be held prior to our next meeting, so I would like to make a motion that we craft a proclamation for Miss Catherine Steele on the achievement of her becoming an Eagle Scout.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. That allows us to create that proclamation prior to our next meeting, and I appreciate that. Two exciting opportunities for our residents in Palm City coming up this week. Once a month, I do something called Dish with the Commish, where I have a member of the public. I've had the sheriff, both our previous sheriff and our new sheriff. I've had state representatives. I've had members of our county staff. I've had Congressman Mast come, and we spend a very informal hour or so having a conversation and do questions and answers. This month, my very special guest is Sandy Thurlow, Martin County's historian. The reason we're having her this month is she has just recently, with her daughter Jackie, published a book of Martin County's history. She's done several. She's done Jensen Beach and Sewell's Point and Hutchinson Island. Her name is very well known throughout the county. She just published a book on the history of Palm City that is available, and so she and I will have a conversation about her life, how she became our historian, what her passions are, and specifically about the book with Palm City's history. She's got it's a beautiful book with illustrations. It's hardcover. It's gorgeous. she'll have some available that day. It's this Thursday, so this week, on January 16th. Starts at 8 a.m. in the Charlie Layton Community Center, just over the Palm City Bridge, immediately on the other side of the Palm City side of the Palm City Bridge. It's free, open to the public. It's got a little bit of a continental breakfast. You'd spend about an hour and 15 minutes, and you'll get to hear from Miss Thurlow. The other event that we're having is the first in what I'm hoping is a series. We're calling it the Patio Playlist. It will be monthly music at the patio at Palm City Place, which is relatively still new. I would count it as new. It's on Map Road in Palm City, directly north of the Palm City Fire Station. This Friday, January 17th, we're having Indiantown's own, a Martin County resident, Carla Holbrook. She's a wonderful performer. She's, as a solo act, she's in a jazz trio. She also has a girl band. She'll be performing that evening from 7 to 9 under the gazebo there. We're calling it Stars Under the Stars. But we're also going to start at 6 p.m. with a couple of food trucks along the sidewalk there, so you can bring your own chair, your blanket. You can pack a picnic lunch, or there'll be a couple of food truck options. Or if you'd like, there's several restaurants in the area that you can take takeout. Come, listen to music, hear Carla. You will, if you don't know her, take my word for it. She's got a beautiful voice, puts a beautiful show on. So that starts at 6 p.m. this Friday and goes till 9. And then again, Dish with the Commish this Thursday, the 16th. It starts at 8 a.m. and goes to about 9:30. And I'd love, you're all invited to come. Both events are free, and we're just highlighting some of our local talent in some of our beautiful locations. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Etherington.
Friday sounds like a great place to celebrate my birthday.
See that? Happy 50th birthday to Commissioner Hetherington.
So, and as far as birthdays and gifts, we got a great, fantastic, Martin County got a holiday gift that I think none of us could have possibly hoped for. This holiday, the Governor DeSantis and the cabinet approved a conservation easement on over 5,800 acres of land in western Martin County, Bull Hammock Ranch. It's a beautiful piece of property. I had the pleasure of kind of running around that property growing up. So, that was through the Rural Family Lands program, and a couple years ago, I remember being in Tallahassee with Wilton Simpson, and he was very, very excited about the Rural and Family Lands program, and I think that's exactly the direction that we need to be going. I'm so happy they identified property in Martin County, and anytime we can balance agricultural productivity and conservation, environmental preservation, I think we're winning. And it's an absolutely amazing way to protect our western land. So I appreciate it. I think we should send a letter to the governor and the cabinet thanking them for that beautiful gift. So,
I agree with you.
Me too.
and that's all I have.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I was going to bring it up too. It's called the Bull Hammock Ranch, and it is owned by the Carlton family. Has been for decades, and there isn't a better maintained, sustainable ranch in Martin County or anywhere in Florida. It's beautiful. Commissioners, we began our latest Martin Cares class on this past Thursday. You're all aware of Martin Cares. What you may not be aware of is that in the past, we began each of the Martin Cares classes with a presentation by each commissioner. And we ended that practice maybe 5 years ago, something like that. And I think that the residents really enjoy hearing directly from the commissioners. So I would like to suggest that we begin again each of those classes with a little presentation, so information provided by the Board of County Commissioners. I would ask that the presentations be limited to 30 minutes, no more than, because these classes run on really, really strict schedules. And if we go over, it completely ruins the schedules. And we frequently have field trips, so we have to maintain schedules. But I think that that would be a nice addition to our Martin Cares classes. And we have 2 new commissioners who I think it would be good for the public to get to know you. And I think that's a great way to get to know you. Commissioner Vargas.
So that would be all 5 commissioners at each Martin Cares?
No, one at a time.
One at a time.
One at a time. All right.
So so it just started last week, so I'm not so sure that they can be retrofitted for this Martin Cares class. Maybe the next one is in March. So I just wanted to float that option and see if it met with your approval.
Sure.
I think that's a good idea. It was that way in the past. I think it gives the CARES people an opportunity to have a little, like you said, a little bit of time to meet with us individually,
Yeah, there are an awful lot of new residents in Martin County, too. A lot of these people have been here fewer than 5 years, and so it's a great introduction to their local government. Also, I think it was about 10 years ago, this board majority made a decision to take away the community redevelopment area from the 5 commissioners to appointed NAC members. I thought it was a bad idea at the time. I think it's a worse idea now. I think that it's absolutely essential in terms of transparency and predictability and accountability for the Board of County Commissioners to act as the CRA. No one is more familiar with our communities than the commissioners are. And as it is, we don't have any exposure to the projects that are being prioritized in the NACs. All we do is give perfunctory approval for their budgets. We don't know what the projects are. We just rubber stamp the budgets each year during our budget review. And I think that that's a disservice to our communities and to our residents. So I would ask that you consider that we, once again, take up the responsibility for the community redevelopment area. Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. I don't mean to would you prefer me to wait until your comments are all done? Yeah, I think you and I were the only 2 commissioners that are still here that were part of that process of that transitional period. I know that there is a difference of opinion, and I respect your opinion. I disagree with it, but I respect it. I think that the concept to refresh people's memory, or like you said, people that weren't here at the time, the Board of County Commissioners would be having their regular agenda. There would be a couple of CRA, the Community Redevelopment Agency, agenda items. We would say, oh, we're going to adjourn as the Board of County Commissioners and reconvene as the CRA. We would spend approximately 5 minutes running through a couple of agenda items, and then we would reconvene back as the commission. I thought that was the least amount of transparency. When you create a situation where, and I know that you disagreed even back then, I remember, which was a respectful disagreement, the concept of having additional opportunities for members of the public, and in the case of the CRA board members, are very tuned in to their individual communities. They come out of the NACs to sit on the agency. It creates an opportunity. They meet in the evenings or in late afternoon. It creates an opportunity for residents to have another chance to hear about projects. They start at the NAC level, then it goes to the CRA level. And if your concern is that as the commissioners, we're not hearing enough about the projects, I would suggest we increase the level of information that is presented to us, not eliminate the CRA. I don't know how that would add transparency. The folks, I am obviously very familiar with what's happening in Palm City, and I'm somewhat familiar with what's happening everywhere else, but I wouldn't want to trade my local knowledge for a countywide ability to know all of the projects. If there is concern that the projects are being approved at the CRA level and we as commissioners don't feel, even if one of us doesn't feel that they're tuned in enough with what these projects might be, then let's hear about them during the commission. These, I think, would also be sort of a disrespectful to the folks that have donated so much time, dedicated so much time to not only participating in these organizations, but learning and knowing the projects. I go to my NAC meetings locally. I've been to a couple others, but I try to stay in my own backyard for the most part. I have attended CRA meetings and sat as a member of the audience and learned. These are folks that are passionate about their communities. I'll use Julie Priest as an example, Rex Centel as an example. They have decades of experience right where they live with projects. I would not want to, I still want to have a say, but I wouldn't substitute my knowledge of what some of these folks are living, whether they live there as residents or work there as business people. I hear your philosophy, and I think maybe what we would need to do before we throw the baby out with the bathwater is ask that we have more information about what they're up to, not eliminating them as a board. Thank you.
Commissioner Heatherington.
I don't have to repeat all that, but I agree just about 100% with Commissioner Campy's comments, and I have a great working relationship with Golden Gate. There's a lot of engagement. We finally have, our NAC almost full and communicating very well between the NAC, the CRA board, and commission and our District 2 office. So I think just more information would be more transparent, and I agree completely with Commissioner Campy's comments.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yes, Chairwoman Hurd. So you're proposing that we eliminate the NAC and
No.
just have the CRA? Say again what you're proposing.
The NACs would remain, and the CRA was always we were the CRA, the Board of County Commissioners was the CRA, because we're the ones who were elected to allocate tax dollars.
Yes.
So about 10 years ago, that decision was made to sever our decision-making and instead to assign it to unelected NAC members, to create a CRA that was composed of 7 members of the NACs.
All right, so the NAC would remain, the CRA would be dissolved. Board of County Commissioners elected to make the decisions because of the tax dollars that are being spent. We'd be more in the know of the projects. Is that correct, that are being discussed?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not asking for a decision. I'm just saying that I think we should consider it. So I'll bring it up in another month or so. You'll have ample time to consider the alternative.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Donaldson.
Yes, just, I have a couple things, and first of all, on the Martin Cares, we'll come back with you all with some options. One option might be to allow you to speak at the end of the day, then you can go over as much as you need. Because sometimes the public has a lot of questions, and I know that 30-minute time frame sometimes.
Plenty of time. I think it used to, I agree. I think it used to be 5 or 10 minutes. Half an hour, that's a long, and that's coming from me. A half an hour is a long period of time. It used to be 10 minutes.
I won't describe examples of what's happened in the past, but I
personally prefer the morning.
We might actually deal with the reality.
The morning than the afternoon.
But anyway, we'll come up with some options for you. Then the next thing is I do have an announcement, and this is required due to a public process of which Ms. Lisa Elder can further describe if necessary, but this is a notice of public hearings and community meeting for designation of a brownfield. And so I'm making this announcement because we have an applicant who's made this, is going through the brownfield process, and through this statutory process, we have to make a public announcement prior to public hearing. So just as a quick background, we have a property owner in Martin County. It's been used as industrial waterfront for many years and has They're looking to have it designated as a brownfield. There'll be a series of public hearings and public community meetings. This is not the county's project, but it is a process by which we are obligated to make this announcement. So I'm going to read this into the record. And again, the title is Notice of Public Hearing and Community Meeting for Designation of a Brownfield. 9670 Southeast Marine Way, LLC, is requesting that the Board of County Commissioners designate the property located at 9670 Southwest Marine Way as a green reuse area, also known as a brownfield. Pursuant to Florida Statute Section 376.80, there will be two public hearings before the Martin County Board of County Commissioners. They will be held on January 28th, 2025, and February 11th, 2025, at the Martin County Administrative Center located at 2401 Southeast Monterey Road, Stuart, Florida, 34996, beginning at 9 a.m. or soon thereafter as the matters can be heard. There will also be a public community meeting held by Ferrera Construction on behalf of the applicant on January 23rd, 2025, at 5:30 p.m. The community meeting will be held at the Courtyard by Marriott, address 7615 Southwest Lost River Road, Stuart, Florida, 34997. The community meeting is being held for the purpose of affording interested parties the opportunity to provide comments and suggestions about the potential designation of the property as a brownfield. All members of the public are invited to attend and participate in both public hearings and the community meeting. That concludes the notice. There's no action by the board taken. This is simply the requirement for providing a notice to the public in accordance with state statutes.
Anything else?
No, that's all I have. Thank you.
Ms. Woods?
Ma'am, thank you.
Then let's take a 10-minute break. You're on. Thank you. We will now take up the remainder of our agenda, which begins with, let's take up consent pull 14. Are we ready to take that up? Do we have Mr. Gazelka? We do. We need to do that first. No, we don't. We'll do that after. Yeah. This was pulled by Commissioner Blake Capps. Do you want to explain why you pulled it?
Yes, I just wanted it explained a little bit. I think it's big news in Hobe Sound when we're getting a traffic light on US 1. And I think the residents of Cambridge and Ridgeway will be glad this is going in, I would suspect. And I'll make a couple of comments after our engineer speaks as well.
Okay, this is actually a signal that's been a long time coming. The Poinciana Gardens people have
Would you
been-
introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Michael Grizelka, the county engineer. This has been a long time coming. The Poinciana Gardens people have been petitioning for a signal going on decades now. The opportunity arose with the MacArthur Golf Club. For MacArthur Golf Club is building the Constitution Avenue between US 1 and Circle Street. With that, and with people across the street, and with the Dollar General now, a signal becomes warranted at this location. So we've moved forward with the signal. We're actually repurposing portions of the old signal that were at the fire station down the street that got decommissioned. And currently, we've already gone to contract. The board has authorized the contract for construction. So they are online, I believe, the last I heard was towards the end of February for putting in bases and stuff for the new mast arms.
Great.
Fantastic.
Great. I thought I would just mention a couple of things about traffic lights. You know, a lot of people might say, well, I would like to have a light at an intersection close to my house. And they might think that it's just in the purview of the county commissioners to install one of those. The first thing I noticed was the cost of a traffic light. The cost of this one is $1,083,000. So that's something to remember. And then also, I think it's important to remember that FDOT is often the agency that is approving these lights. Is that correct in this case?
Yes, that is correct.
Right. So it really wasn't a county commission decision. I'm glad they're doing it, but just for future reference, when someone else might want to have a light, it oftentimes involves the FDOT and their ultimate determination on the matter. And I thought I would ask our county engineer just maybe to give us a couple of highlights as to what justifies having a light. You know, when does the FDOT think one is appropriate?
The DOT has a process of warranting a signal. It deals with projected existing background traffic flows, projected traffic flows. Basically, that's what it's all based on, the existing traffic flows and projected traffic flows for that intersection. And they also have safety concerns that get rolled into it as well.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions about the Constitution Ave signalization? Then we'll move on to consent 16, which I pulled, and this is a request to lower the speed limit on Cove Road, which is currently posted at 40 and 45, down to 40 and 35. This posted speed limit in Rocky Point, where I live, which is all residential, is 35. And it's incongruous for me to believe that anybody is making a recommendation that the speed limit on Cove Road be the same as the Rocky Point residential posted speed limit. I am the slowest driver that you've ever met. I rarely go drive the speed limit, or rarely drive over the speed limit. And yet, on Cove Road, I always drive the speed limit or more, just because it seems like that's the correct posted speed. So I am wondering why we are being asked to make this change, and how is it being justified?
Yes, ma'am. For the record, I'm Michael Grizelka, the county engineer. Through the PD&E process with the DOT, they take everything into concern, and traffic safety is one of the big items that goes in when they're studying new road segments. So this one, due to the past accidents and records on this road, that was some of the things that came out in Martin County's Vision Zero initiative to reduce traffic accidents and stuff. And it's not really a big change. Currently, the Cove Road is 45 from Canner to Alt. It's 40 from Alt to Avalon, and it's 35 from Avalon to US 1. With the addition of the two roundabouts that are proposed within this study to also help slow down the traffic and avoid more accidents, there's a roundabout proposed at Trey Bell's entrance and a roundabout proposed at Alt Avenue. So what we're only changing really is from the 45 speed limit between Canner and Alt is dropping to 40, which is really necessary to facilitate the roundabouts.
But when are the roundabouts going to be constructed?
With this whole project, this is not we're not dropping the speed limit like today. This is when the road gets widened, and this is all the future. Once the road is widened and the roundabouts are in, because this also talks about the road being expanded from 2 lanes to 4 lanes.
Okay, so this is not a project, this isn't a change now. This is a change that's going to be executed in 2028 or something.
Whenever the project is built.
Okay.
Are you okay with that answer?
Do they always make these changes 10 years in advance of the construction?
What they're asking for is the approval of the typical sections that they've identified as, and along with those typical sections and the proposed roundabouts, they're asking to then reduce the speed for that section of road at that time.
Okay. Any further questions?
I was going to make a motion to accept staff's recommendation on consent agenda, item number 14.
We haven't approved any of the consent agenda, so you want to do the whole thing?
I'll do the whole thing, we'll bundle it.
There's a motion to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We will now move on to, let's do B and C1. You want to do those, Ms. Gordon? This is Industrial Development Authority appointment. There is one appointment to be made.
Donna Gordon for administration. There was 2 applicants. Mr. Matthew Abes received 2 votes. Mr. George Gattuso received 3 votes.
Is there a motion to appoint Mr. Gattuso?
Motion to appoint Mr. Patuso?
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. B and C2 is a vacancy on the Community Redevelopment Agency at-large member. There are 3 applicants. We were asked to select, well, wait a minute. Well, actually, there's a whole bunch of appointments that need to be made. So there's a staff recommendation for about 6 different things.
Their terms were going to expire on the Community Redevelopment Agency. There's 3 applicants for 1 position, the at-large position, and you all gave me your voting sheets, and Mr. Chuck Smith received 5 votes.
Okay.
And then Michael Riedling for the RIO Rex Sintel for Old Palm City, Cynthia Hall for Jensen Beach, and Sadia Safaridis for Golden Gate.
Motion to accept those appointments.
And then, oh, sorry.
Second.
Any other comments, questions? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
And then you're asked to appoint a chair and vice chair to the Community Redevelopment Agency for the calendar year 2025.
Okay.
Rex Sintel is the current chairman, and Robert Krebs is the current vice chair.
Commissioner Campy.
May I speak to Ms. Corus? Good morning.
Good morning.
Has the CRA board proffered any recommendations of who they would like to see in these positions?
Generally, what happens, Commissioners, is that the vice chair would move to chair. So that would indicate Robert Krebs, he's the Hope Sound member, be appointed as chairman. And then it usually reverts back around to the other members for vice chair. So they didn't make any particular recommendation.
And I will. I would elevate the vice chair to chair, and I would make a recommendation that Mike Redling from the RIO. Donna, you shaking your head no, Donna?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just double checking myself.
He serves on the CRA, correct?
He does.
I would make a recommendation that he become the vice chair.
Second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Oh, shall we move on to public hearing number 1, which is a public hearing to consider adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 111 by creating Article 8 regarding registration fees for sex offenders, sexual predators, convicted felons, and career offenders, and a resolution establishing the registration fees. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Senior Assistant County Attorney Melissa Petrick. I have next to me Detective Polizzi from the Martin County Sheriff's Office. She is one of the detectives that handles registration of sex offenders and other felons. Also behind me, I have Sergeant Spencer, who she is with the Special Victims Unit, and Captain Werner, who oversees of various departments, including the Special Victims Unit as well. So I'm here today, Board, because we are looking for the Board to consider an adoption of 2 sections. It would be for Section 111.160 as well as 111.161. What this is about is 160 are the definitions regarding sex offenders, sexual predators, felons. There are certain individuals within Martin County that are required by law to register with the Sheriff's Office. These registrations are set up by statute. These registrations require updating email addresses, updating employment, and as well as updating residences. There are certain parameters that must be done in the sense of registrations, whether it's yearly or monthly or quarterly. It is all dependent on that particular offender and what the item is that has to be registered. So what this ordinance is looking to do, because the Sheriff's Office has to expend time, money, and resources when they register these offenders, they actually go out to the field, they have to verify where they live, they have to push notifications out to the general public. This ordinance is looking to establish registration fees through the issuance of a resolution. There are minimal fees. I believe it's approximately $25. That is before the Board. They range from anywhere from 25 down to 10. And these amounts are merely to cover the costs that the Sheriff's Office is incurring as a result of registering these offenders. So in regards to what is before you today, the Sheriff's Office, with the approval of the County Attorney's Office, is asking that the Board adopt these new ordinances, and that would be 111.160, and as I stated, that includes the definitions of the different types of offenders that are required by law to register, as well as Section 111.161, and that ordinance discusses the different types of registration, as well as the implementation of this fee. I do have one ministerial error to address, and that was in 111.161, subsection G, under penalties. And that was just that Florida statute 125.69 to be changed to 162.21. It was just a different section of the law that gives the authority for the implementation of fees for failure to do this. So with that, I am asking that the board adopt this ordinance with the change, and also to adopt the resolution, and that resolution establishes the amounts of the initial registration, the yearly registration, the periodic, and a change of address that requires personal verification by the officers of the Martin County Sheriff's Office. And if anybody...
Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. First off, thank you for doing this work. I know it's very difficult work to do. When I was reviewing the agenda item, I was surprised by the number of individuals you have to deal with in Martin County. Am I correct? And it's 400, give or take?
Correct.
Yeah, so I think that that's a big responsibility with a lot of people. It's not like a dozen people. And I'm sure you don't have a tremendous staff that goes around to do this work on top of all your other responsibilities. I think creating a fee that these folks would have to pay makes perfect sense. And it's important because, I remember in the general vicinity of where I live, there was a situation where someone had sort of rented a place to someone else, and that person, these people don't readily come forward and say, here we are. It's more of an investigative, and you have to track these folks. I thought, when I read the item, I thought, okay, and then when I got to the fees, I thought they were remarkably low, $25 and $10. So I, of course, would make a motion to accept your request. If anything, I thought they should have been more money. But if that's what you're asking for, then that's what I would support. Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yes, I have a question. I see that, yes, I understand about the fees that you're going to be implementing initially. It says here under G that if a person, and I'm paraphrasing here, fails to pay $500 will be subject to a fine of $500. So they don't pay the $500, what happens then?
So like any county ordinance, when there's an ordinance and somebody violates the ordinance, they can be issued a citation. This is just like with our animal cases. If there's a dog bite, someone gets an ordinance. Likewise, if an offender doesn't pay or refuses, and if they can't pay, they still have to register. The sheriff's office will keep the running tab of what is owed. The sheriff's office, which has their discretion to do, can actually issue a citation for failure to comply with an ordinance. It is not a misdemeanor. It is a civil infraction. It's not a penalty in the sense of it's not another penalty against just a sex offender. It is merely a civil infraction if the officer chooses to issue a citation against the offender.
Okay, and if the offender is working, is there garnishment of wages or?
So what happens here is when the officers come in regards to the fees, part of their responsibilities is to ask them about their employment and their sources, essentially that's a source of income. If they can't pay, then yes, they can keep the running amount that's owed, and then the sheriff's office can go forward through civil enforcement and try and recoup those charges. I mean, that would essentially have to be another civil suit if the sheriff's office decides to do that.
So it's really a promise to pay, that type of thing. And this is throughout the United States? If they move to another state, I'm asking.
Yes,
You exchange
they are required to register throughout the United States.
And you exchange information?
For the most part, yes, ma'am. I mean, each state is different. Each state has different fees. Each state has different registration requirements.
No, what I was referring to is you exchange information that they owe this money to Martin County. Do you have a database or anything like?
I mean, that could be done, but in terms of a national database on the fees owed, there are fees that would be owed only to Martin County, not I don't, in saying if the person moves to, let's say, Georgia, Georgia can't enforce that lien against them. It's up to the sheriff. Just like whenever we impose any sort of lien on somebody, we can try to seek it down here. I mean, that's up to the discretion of the sheriff's office if they want to notify the next jurisdiction saying, hey, this person owes money over here. But that would be their discretion whether or not they wanted to do that.
Yeah, I understand, because they tend to migrate, right?
They tend to move around,
They
yes,
do.
ma'am.
They do, yeah. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments?
Pending any public comment, I'll second the motion.
Any public comment? Any further comments from the commission? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Department Quasi Judicial 1. Request plat approval for Newfield Crossroads Phase 1A1 project. Commissioner Vargas, any ex parte disclosures?
No, and it's been filed.
If I, go ahead. If I have any, they've been filed.
Mr. Campy
If I have any, they've been filed.
and Commissioner Heatherington.
If any, they've been filed.
And if I have any, they've been filed. Let's see, have you submitted all your records to the clerk?
Turning in a copy of my work history and the agenda item to be filed as Exhibit 1.
Are there any interveners?
No interveners.
Seeing none, proceed.
Yep. Excuse me, Commissioner.
Oh, yeah, we have to swear in witnesses. If you're going to be providing testimony in this agenda item, please stand and be sworn.
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Now you may begin, Mr. Sinnott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm John Sennett, Senior Planner with Growth Management. This is a request for plat approval for Newfield Crossroads Phase 1A1. The plat is to be consistent with the Newfield Crossroads Phase 1A1 final site plan, which includes 36 residential lots, 2 civic areas, and associated infrastructure on an approximately 7.17 acre site. The subject site is a portion of the approximately 139 acre Crossroads Neighborhood Phase 1 Master Plan and is located northeast of Southwest Newfield Parkway, formerly known as Southwest Citrus Boulevard, about 0.7 miles south of the C-23 Canal in Palm City. Included is a request for a Certificate of Public Facilities exemption. This is a request by the property owner, Mattamy Palm Beach. As part of this application, minor technical changes were required to the Phase 1A1 final site plan to achieve consistency with the plat. These minor changes were approved on December 16th, 2024. This shows the location of Newfield Crossroads, Phase 1A1, in relation to Southwest Newfield Parkway and the C-23 Canal. The site's located just under a mile south of the C-23 Canal in Palm City. This hashed area shows the boundaries of Phase 1A1. It's just over 7 acres in size. This is an example sheet from the plat. Phase 1A1 includes portions of Southwest Creek Street, Southwest Prairie Avenue, as well as internal alleyways. Southwest Prairie Avenue connects to Newfield Parkway. Phase 1A1 is their model row. It consists primarily of single-family detached dwellings along with some fee simple townhouse units. Review of plats is not required by the local planning agency. Final action on this application is required by the Board of County Commissioners in a public meeting pursuant to Table 10.5 F9 LDR, Martin County, Florida. Development review staff have found the application to comply with all applicable regulations and the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan as detailed in the attached staff report. Staff recommends approval of the Newfield Crossroads Phase 1A1 plat. Staff recommendation is to move the board receive and file the agenda item and its attachments, including the staff report as Exhibit 1, and move the board approve the Newfield Crossroads Phase 1A1 plat including the contract for construction of required improvements in infrastructure. That concludes my presentation.
Questions for staff? Seeing none, would the applicant like to make a presentation? The applicant doesn't wish to make a presentation.
No, but they can make themselves available if you all have any comments, I believe, or questions.
Okay, I have questions.
Yeah, it does.
Have you been sworn in, sir? Okay, would you please raise your right hand?
Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Please identify yourself.
Good morning. Carl Albertson with Mattamy Palm Beach LLC.
One question I have is I noticed that these lots, the dimensions of the lots are not given. And I see that some of the lots are as small or even smaller. Some of them are 4/100ths of an acre. Some are smaller. So what exactly are you, what's the minimum lot size, and what are you building on these lots that are 4/100ths of an acre?
This is primarily our model park, which is out there built, and it's a combination of townhome lots, which I believe are the 30-foot lots, and we have villas, and then we have the different size single-family lots. This area has it's not all consistent size of lots because it is the model park. So we have lots that would accommodate the townhome lots and the single-family lots, and they meet all the setbacks and the lot coverages per the approved site plan.
What's the smallest lot that you're asking us to approve by platting today?
It looks like, as you said, the .04 acres. I think that would be intended for a townhouse unit.
So what are the dimensions of that?
The dimensions are noted here. It'd be 20 feet by roughly 77.5.
Is there any setback on the 20 feet?
The setbacks are established by the transect zone according to the final site plan.
Are there setbacks?
There are setbacks, yes.
Do you know what they are?
I don't know them off the top of my head, no. Again, it's T&D, so they are set further up towards the front of the street, but the garage is accessed off the alleyway.
And for these townhouse units, obviously they would have a party wall, so there'd be a zero, side setback for these particular units.
Well, except that it's all the same size. So what happens on the two ends where there isn't a shared wall?
Lots are 2 feet wider.
I'm sorry, there's 2 feet of setback on the side setback?
The lot area is 22 feet on the exterior units compared to 20 feet for the interior units.
So staff, is an exception being made for this, that we have a 2-foot side setback?
I don't recall the particular side setback for the end units. It might be between 3 and 5 feet from that end property line.
Like it's 2.
Good
Just seeing how this is
Can I ask
complying
a
with all of our
question?
regulations.
Good morning. Peter Walden, Deputy Growth Management Director. The final site plan is in compliance with Article 11 of the Newfield. They have their own setback criteria development standards, and it is in compliance with Article 11. These lots are narrow because they are actually designed to accommodate townhouses.
Commissioner Vargas.
Yes, I've been out to see the site, the models, and the lots are extremely narrow. I think you could hand somebody sugar. Is that what you do today still? A cup of sugar, they're right there, and there are no shared walls on here, correct? They're just freestanding.
Well, these, on the townhome buildings, no, if you were at the model park and you were at our sales center and walked to the left, there was a townhome building. So the townhome buildings, if it's a 5-unit building, those 5 units are attached. They share a wall with each other. The single-family homes and the villas, they are detached, and they will be a physical separation between the walls.
Yeah. It just seems like there are some questions that need to be answered here, and I'm following your line of questioning, and we don't have all the definitive answers. Could we table this till we, this has been approved?
I do have the approved final site plan, which would show the setbacks more in detail. So, for example, looking at more of a detached, single-family detached building over here, this lot 26, I believe the side setback on that lot would be 3 feet. And a front build-to zone, if you will, between 6 feet and 18 feet from the street right-of-way line.
And the setbacks fall within the county requirements?
Yes, per Article 11, the Planned Mixed-Use Village Code. Part of the appeal of Newfield community and this new urbanist design aesthetic is to have, more of a denser development that results in, walkable neighborhoods, walkable streets, a greater sense of community, some would say.
So if the board decides, we can have some informational things come forward in the future if you'd like to go through the Newfield Code, but the code has been found in compliance with Article 11. All the development standards have been very much gone through. It meets the standards. It is a more compact development standards than you're used to seeing, and that is by design. And I'm not sure where we're headed here, but it is in compliance with the code that is adopted in Municode.
Commissioner Campy.
Can I hear from Mr. Donaldson first, Madam Chair?
I think it's just real important to go through that Newfield it created its own form-based code. So it has it is the county's code. So they took the zoning that was created for Newfield, created a form-based code, which approved and created the whole concept of Newfield. So it has its own chapter, if you will, in the zoning. And the process of where we are today is that you approve a master plan that gives you the overall structure. And in this case, it's different than a PUD in that the form-based code specifically designed all of the layout of the community so that it is now, the term of art sometimes we use is by right. So they have a very strictly defined approval process in terms of how they meet the zoning requirements of Newfield. The next piece of it is you approve the final development plan, and the plat is the last piece that allows the developer to sell the lots in accordance with the plan. And the plat has to meet all of those other subsequent pieces. So that's where we are today at the end of the piece is the plat is the final instrument that allows the property to be final subdivided. And so the zoning questions in terms of setbacks and things are what you approve when you created the code. So we certainly can provide information on it, but we are based upon, and Ms. Elder can fill in some of the nuances of it, but the form-based code is unique in the fact that's the first one we've done in Martin County, but it does establish a very strict criteria on what can and cannot be done, and essentially the roadmap has been laid down and approved, I guess is what I'm saying. And then, so the plat has to follow all of that. It can't deviate from what was previously approved.
And if I could extrapolate a little bit further, the code is much more restrictive and than normal code where you just have setbacks that you have to adhere to. These have build-to zones where you have to have a front and rear setback that is adhered to. The form of the building is actually dictated, and the criteria is very specific as to how the placement of the buildings, the form of the buildings, how the building interacts with the street, how the parking interacts, and everything else. It's much more detailed than our normal Euclidean zoning code.
Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. Yes, I know it's like taking a drink from a fire hose for some of our new commissioners, but, and those of us that have been here through this process when this was originally presented and debated and adopted and approved, all the way up through to Tallahassee. We've been out there. I believe all of us have been out here to look. It is a unique kind of design concept for us in Martin. I think we have to be careful that if you have questions, as staff has recommended, the opportunity to discuss those questions, but I certainly don't want to get involved in a situation of delaying based on looking for additional information, delaying these approvals. This is almost just sort of like a touch base at this point. The process is well on its way. This is a project worth hundreds of millions of dollars with hundreds of employees waiting for approvals. It's a very Swiss watch type timing that is required of this. And I know that the process, even when it's handled exactly appropriately, is frustrating for certain developers in terms of the timing to continue to move the process along. So with that in mind, I would make a motion after public, if there's any public comment, to make a motion to accept staff's recommendation of approval, letting the applicant know that if my colleagues have questions, maybe they need to have, instead of coming to the office, invite them out to show them exactly, here's what we're talking about, this is what this looks like. I have had the opportunity to go out and take a look. It's unique, but I think it's fantastic.
Agree. Second.
Ms. Eldridge?
Elise Elder, Deputy County Attorney. I would just add on to what Commissioner Campy and Mr. Donaldson said. Under the law, the board's legal obligation is to approve the plat. It's a ministerial task by the board. Once the county surveyor determines that the plat is in accordance with our land development regulations and our plan, which I think he did in this case. So then under Florida law, your job is really ministerial to approve it. And like Mr. Donaldson said, this has already been reviewed to make sure it's in compliance, including the setbacks with our LDRs and our comp plan. That's all.
Is there any public comment? I just must say, there isn't enough information here for me to make an informed decision. I'm used to looking at plats, and these are, if this is the way that this is going to be done, then you have to provide more information for me to be able to understand what you're proposing. Because just simply saying that there's a 4/100th of an acre parcel doesn't give me enough information. If there's all this specific information that's available, I want it too. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? That motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
We'll take up the next item, which is departmental quasi-judicial number 2, which is a request for plat approval for the Newfield Crossroads Phase 1A2 project. You have any ex parte disclosures, Commissioner Vargas?
None has been filed. Thank you.
Caps?
If I have any, they have been filed.
Commissioner Campy?
I filed that I had none.
And Commissioner Heatherington?
If any, they've been filed.
And if any, they've been filed. Let's see. Is anybody going to, if you're going to provide testimony, please stand and be sworn in.
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Are there any interveners? No interveners. Have you provided all the necessary paperwork to the clerk?
A copy of my work is being turned in as an exhibit I-1.
Excellent. Please introduce yourself and provide staff report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, members of the board. My name is Luis Aguilar, Principal Planner for the Growth Management Department. I'm presenting a plat application for a property owned by Marami Palm Beach LLC. This is a request for a plat approval for Newfield Crossroads Phase 1A2. Phase 1A2 includes agricultural and farm uses, including a farm operations building and related civic space on an approximately 4.85 acre site. The subject site is a portion of the approximately 139 acres Crossroads Neighborhood Phase 1 Master Plan. This is the project location. The subject site is located northeast of Southeast Newfield Parkway, approximately 0.7 miles of the C-23 canal in Palm City. The canal will be around here. And this is the project location with the Newfield Crossroads Phase 1A, which is the gray area. Review of plats is not required by the local planning agency. Final action on this application is required by the Board of County Commissioners in a public meeting. The development review staff have found the application to comply with all applicable regulations and the comprehensive growth management plan as detailed in the attached staff report. Staff recommends approval of the Newfield Crossroads Phase 1A2 plat. And we recommend to move the board receive and file the agenda item as and its attachments, including the staff report as Exhibit 1, and move the board approve the Newfield Crossroads Phase 1A2 plat. This concludes my presentation.
Questions for Mr. Aguilar? I do. So this is a plat for agricultural and farm uses, including a farm operation building and related civic space on this 4.85 acre site. Can you show me where the farm operation building is, where the farm uses are, where the agricultural uses are, and where the civic spaces are?
Well, that is part of the master plan. Let me see if I'm able to find it. So the area that we are discussing today is this one over here. Let me see if I can remove the. Just want to remove the. Okay. So for me to show you that, I will have to show you the master plan. But we are here today to approve just the plat. But you know, all the information you're requesting is in the master plan, but I can show you what we are discussing, which is all this area over here.
So the plat, this is a plat of one parcel. It's basically a boundary plat. There are no individual sites within this particular plat, so it's one common area controlled by the Mattamy Homes. So there are no individual lots for the farm operation or anything like that. It's one parcel. So it's not going to show any site criteria other than that one parcel.
Well, I beg to differ. What I'm looking at is they're definitely look like they're platted lots to me.
Can you go to the final site plan? Do you have that?
You want me to put this on the camera? I see unplatted stuff around the borders, but I see that there's platted stuff inside. Tract Canal C2, 0.26 acres. Tract Canal C1, 1.73 acres. 1.86 acres of something. 0.13 acres of something. I don't see any civic.
Yeah, maybe we can have. He's not really paying attention. You have this site plan? There you go. Thank you, Louis. Okay, so there are easements and encumbrances and areas around this particular site, but you can see that it's all for a common area use. There are no individual areas that are going to be conveyed. It's all part of the project. It has an event lawn space, common areas, common community gardens, greenhouses. They're all shown on the final site plan.
He hasn't stated his name for the record.
Please state your name for the record.
Peter Walden, Deputy Growth Management Director.
So I understand that in the last agenda item, that we were approving the plat because we have to, in order to be able to sell lots. So if we're not selling these lots, if they're part of common property, then why are we approving this plat, and what exactly are we approving?
Okay, so it'd be great if the applicant would step forward, but.
He hasn't been sworn in.
Right.
Come forward.
Yeah, you'll be sworn in again.
But the property is being divided up, and by state law, if it's been more than one lot subdivision, it needs to be platted, and that's why this area, I believe, is being platted.
Commissioner, may I? Paul Schilling, Growth Management Director, for the record. So this application is simply plotting geometry, which is the land we have on the screen. It is simply for that purpose to legally describe that area. As you know, within the land development regulations and platting requirements, there are requirements to plat land if you do not meet those exemptions. So this is simply just a plat of the 4.85 acres.
Okay. Please swear the applicant in.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
And can you tell me what we're looking at here?
Can you scoot it over just a little bit to the left?
And state your name for the record.
Carl Albertson, Mattamy Palm Beach LLC. Get over to Creek. Okay, so this is the main entry when you come into our model center. The first building you're going to see on Lot 2, which is designated as Civic, is what we call the CSA building, and that is where there will be the produce that's offered for pickup to the residents and anyone that becomes part of the CSA membership to obtain the produce that's grown on the farm. The area behind it is an open lawn that's going to be used for events. Lot 3 that's designated there is basically like a demonstration garden. They're basically raised beds that the on-site farmer shows on demonstrates how to plant different types of vegetables. The building behind it is going to be the main farm building, which is currently constructed, and that is going to be where the farm operations are and also provide some event space that can be utilized by the residents. Then behind that, we have the farm, which is building number 3. You're going to have your farm club barn, and that is basically where there's supplies there that the residents can use. Everything behind this is area that residents can do their own plantings and have a little space where they can plant their vegetables and go there and tend to them, get help from the farmer on how to make sure they're growing adequately. And the rest of it is Civic is C1 and C2, just open space at this point in time.
Okay. Staff Dias, Mr. Grzelka.
For the record, I'm Michael Grzelka, the county engineer. The 2 C tracks that are on there are the canal tracks for the master drainage system, which gets broken out and is being maintained by the CDD. So they're breaking out portions of what's part of the master drainage system as opposed to what is farm operations, so that the CDD will be maintaining the master drainage system. Like all open water master drainage system is maintained by the CDD. And then the farm operations is more of a homeowner's responsibility.
Okay. Any questions for staff or for the applicant? Would anyone from the public like to address us? Mr. Donaldson.
I was just going to, for the public, CDD stands for
For the information, CDD stands for Community Development District, and it is a method by which the entity pays all the property owners within Newfield will pay for the maintenance and operation of everything owned and developed by the Community Development District.
Commissioner Campy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having had the opportunity to go out there and see some of these buildings that are mentioned on this plan and how beautiful the project has come along, this, even if you're just driving by on Newfield Parkway, you can see most of this from the roadway. I think it's a sort of a new way, new lifestyle choice for some people. The farm is like community farming. It's been done elsewhere. I've seen this done elsewhere, and I know that this was integral to Knight Kiplinger's view of what he wanted for this community kind of coming together. You can drive by and see the buildings. They're gorgeous, and I would be happy to make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Was that a second?
Yes.
Commissioner Capps.
I was just going to say that I appreciate the fact that they have this big community garden. I think that's a cool change from the traditional golf course model for a homeowners association. And nothing against golf. Ed, I know Ed's dad was a professional golfer, but I think the garden concept is really interesting and appealing, and I applaud you for doing that. I think it's a nice feature.
Any further questions? Yeah, just in the future, please provide me with more information when you're asking us to approve these very, very detailed, opaque developments with not enough information.
We will.
I'll
Thank
have our
you.
consultants do a presentation to rehash the site plan that is the basis for the plats.
Thank you. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
We'll take up Department 1. Is that what's next? That's Office of Management and Budget items, which require board approval. Good morning, Ms. Murley.
Good morning. Stephanie Murley, Director of OMB, here to present 4 items on the OMB item today. Our first item is a permission to accept the Bureau of Justice Assistance Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program. This is for the Martin County Sheriff's Office requesting the acceptance of a grant award of $25,564 for funding to offset costs for the Martin County Sheriff's Office Traffic Unit and Agricultural Environmental Unit, and there's no cash match required on this grant. Our second item is a permission to accept the FY 24-25 Spencer Educational Foundation Summer Internship Grant for Risk Management Student Intern. Our HR and Risk Division is requesting the acceptance of a grant award for $7,500 to fund a student intern which will expose young professionals to the field of governmental risk management, and there is no cash match required for this grant as well. Item number 3 is a budget resolution to allocate a contribution from the Coastal Conservation Association, or the CCA, for the Boy Scout Island Shoreline Project. We are in receipt of a contribution from the CCA in the amount of $50,000 for the Boy Scout Island Shoreline Project. This $50,000 will be allocated towards numerical modeling and a feasibility study to evaluate alternatives for restoration and protection of the island. We request a budget resolution and the amendment to the CIP sheet to recognize this unanticipated revenue stream. And the last item is a request to amend the Charlie Leeton Park Capital Improvement Plan, or CIP sheet. The Parks and Recreation Department is proposing the reallocation of some currently budgeted funds with the active parkland impact fees and budgeted ad valorem capital from other parks projects that have longer project initiation schedules in order to advance the Charlie Layton Park project. We are requesting the reallocation of $600,000 that was previously allocated for multipurpose fields at Citrus Grove Park, and also $700,000 in active parkland funds from the Sand Dune Cafe project that'll be redirected. It'll take at least 2 more years to secure all of the permits for Sand Dune Cafe, and to leverage current funds, we are requesting that reallocation of that. And that's all I have for you today.
I have questions on number 4, on the request to amend the Charlie Layton Park CIP.
Sure.
And that is, tell me about the additional fields in the new field development, when they're going to be, where they're going to be, what promises that they're going to be built in certain time.
Good morning. Kevin Abate, Parks and Recreation Director. My understanding is the Newfield project is, as Mr. Donaldson alluded to, is its own separate little function. They're required to provide the county a full master plan to meet level of service requirements for the county. They did have an impact fee credit to do that. So the funds for the old Citrus Grove Park was to put an old soccer field there. We have since, many years ago, because this project is 7 years in the making for Charlie Layton Park since 2018, we have since we had an old softball field over at Lance Corporal Park that we turned into a new soccer field, and we're accommodating the teams over there. So the space requirements over at Citrus Grove Elementary are just not conducive for another field. And my understanding is that Newfield has recently approached us in the last couple months. They're going to be developing on top of their Newfield Park additional ball fields at their own expense on the opposite side of Citrus Boulevard. So that's in addition to their required master plan that they owe the county.
When are those fields going to be provided?
I don't have a date. I know that the first field that they're supposed to build for Newfield Complex is based on, I believe it's after the first 100th home is constructed, and then that will be open. So it's a phased approach, from what I understand. Because they have a county a board assigned development agreement that requires that.
Yeah. Okay. Also, the $700,000 from the Sand Dune Cafe, we're going to not permit the Sand Dune Cafe for 2 years?
So the cafe is fully funded for design and permitting now. We are working with the design team to move through a CMAR construction management at risk model going forward. So we have full design money. That's not going to stop this project from being designed. We have met with the design team, and Public Works has officially taken over the project on behalf of the Parks Department. So we're going to accelerate that in lieu of the fire that just happened over at the restroom facility. So we are moving as quick as we can to get those necessary permits in order, which will probably take minimally 18 months because of its in proximity to the coastal construction line in the sand dune.
And construction money for Sand Dune Cafe?
What I intend to do is to bring forward a revised CIP sheet for the FY26 budget, 27 and so on and so forth. We'll be coming off several projects for the Parks and Recreation Capital Improvement Program. We'll be wrapping up Indian Riverside Park and Charlie Layton Park and other projects where we can reallocate existing funds over to the cafe project as a whole, because it's not only the cafe, it's the restroom and storage facility and the deck itself. It's a kind of a combined project, and I'll be bringing forth a funding strategy that will include active parkland funds, some general fund dollars, some bed tax dollars for dune crossovers, and I'll come up with a full program. And over the next few years, it'll kind of, or 18 months or so, it'll kind of redevelop as a funded project.
Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. I just wanted to lend a little clarity to the Charlie Layton Park and say thank you to Kevin and the other folks that worked on this. I actually inherited this project from Commissioner DiTerlizzi when I took office originally in 2008. I still have a old yellowed board design plan of what was supposed to take place nearly 20 years ago. That project that Mr. Abate was mentioning will increase boat trailer parking, which is desperately needed. It'll also be the next in a phased approach of rehabbing all of our boat ramps. Charlie Layton Park is a very busy boat ramp. We get a lot of traffic from our neighbors to the north, that it's the closest one for them to get into. And before you say, well, you know, it should be only for Martin County residents, based on the grants that we've received, it cannot be. We'll also be adding additional parking. Parks and Rec a couple of years ago did a very nice job on rehabbing the Charlie Layton Community Center and the restrooms there. It's been a phased approach. If you're not familiar with the area, it's also on the southern portion of the property where the Treasure Coast Rowing Club has successfully been operating out of on a smaller kind of a footprint. They have hundreds of kids that utilize the program from all the schools and adults. We're going to give a portion of the property back to them. It's currently a soccer field, and we have a no net loss for soccer fields. And as Mr. Abate said, we have found space at Justin Wilson Park to create a multipurpose field. I think the concept involving Newfield is more, there was an original plan back in 2012 that when the baseball field facility was built at Citrus, that to the north would be 2 additional multi-use rectangular fields that, after a change in philosophy, turned into a stormwater retention pond. And the reason that there is a deal in the works with Newfield is the fact that when we were all out there, Mr. Abate and I, and we knew that Newfield was going to need that same kind of space, we were able to make a deal that allowed them to build those fields closer, as Kevin said, to was Citrus, now it's Newfield Parkway, right across the street from where these would have been. So that's a western Martin County, western Palm City thing. The field space that is currently at Charlie Layton Park is underutilized. It's not the best use of that property from a county perspective. The field will stay in place. We'll put a sort of a little bandstand or something in the center. The lights will stay in place. For many Palm City in particular residents, they have no access to the river. And that access that we've had there is not only underutilized, I think it's like not utilized at all. And we're going to put some new boat launch there, like a kayak launch, and some fishing opportunities, some picnic tables, and a gazebo. It'll take that piece of very valuable Martin County real estate and really elevate it to its best use. And we have been working on this version of it for about 7 or 8 years, and I appreciate that we are finally now at the doorstep of getting it done. The NAC and the residents have had an opportunity to participate in the process, and Kevin have been very clever, as they have many other times, in maneuvering finances around to continue to move projects to fruition, and I thank them. And I'd make a motion to accept all of it, especially number 4.
Commissioner Vargas.
Hi. I had several discussions with Director Abate, and he assured me, and he showed me on spreadsheets, and we talked it through, that monies would be available for the Sand Dune Cafe at the time when you can start building, but that everything will continue to go forward, the design, as we move along closer to the 18 months. So that was important, to me also, specifically because it's in District 1, so.
Any further comments? I think that this Charlie Layton Park improvement is a fine one, but I can't justify spending $1.3 million that were allocated to other projects in order to accomplish it, because there's no way to refund these. We don't have $700,000 sitting in some magical fund for the Sand Dune Cafe. So I don't know how you're going to fund Sand Dune Cafe. And I'm also not, we have no guarantee that the additional ball fields are going to be built at Newfield, except they said they would. Apparently, we don't have a contract. So I'm not going to support that. So I would prefer that we divide these into 1 through 3 and then 4.
I make a motion to accept 1 through 3.
Is there a second? There's a motion and a second to approve 1 through 3. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
I make a motion to accept number 4, understanding and appreciating that our folks that have crunched the numbers feel that they can do it, and I appreciate it.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? That motion
Opposed.
passes.
Opposed.
That motion passes 3-2 with Commissioners Vargas and Hurd dissenting. Thank you.
May I also ask that we revisit this again for?
It's done.
I mean, we can put that on no, we can put on a future agenda with no discussion. We're just not, yes, I get that, but I mean, this is moving forward with design, Sand Dune Cafe, so we could take another look at this as we move forward. I mean, if Newfield does complete its promise of building ball fields, then that will take up that. And also, if we're pulling back on what we're going to be spending at the park in Palm City.
Well, I know that officially, these projects will appear on our capital improvement plan, which we look at in May. I don't know if we're going to planning on looking at them any time before then or not. We've already approved the park's budget for 2025. Yes, Mr. Donaldson.
I would suggest that we would review this in detail with the capital improvement plan, or if necessary, maybe shortly before we do the capital improvement plan, just to, I think, Mr. Abate can give an overview of the plans for the Sand Dune Cafe and some of the financial opportunities with their revenue stream on some of the parks projects that could help mitigate the projects approved today.
At a minimum, Commissioner Vargas, I would recommend that you get with the parks people and have them review the spreadsheet again. Commissioner Campy.
Just for clarity's sake, we approved today moving forward. We're well past, at least for Charlie Layton, we're well past the planning. We are ready to move forward with the project. And remember, the boat trailer parking lot and the boat ramp is well beyond the scope of just the park. It's a multi-use facility for all the residents, and we're moving forward with construction. So that's what I meant about it being done. I will advocate strongly for the Sand Dune to have its funding, because all of us represent every park. As you represent the Palm City Parks, I help you in Jensen. So when I first saw the numbers being crunched, I'm like, oh, I had a conversation with Mr. Abate, and we discussed, I don't want to rob Peter to pay Paul, but we're not doing that in this case. But I don't want to think that 3 or 4 months from now we're going to talk about Charlie Layton again, because I'm hoping in 3 or 4 months he'll come forward with a update on how far along we are with construction.
Mr. Abate, how did we get this far in this with a $1.3 million deficit?
So Charlie Layton Park is a capitalized project. It's the board's CIP program for boat ramp improvements. That's part of it. So the Charlie Layton Park project that was approved today is the boat ramp and the park improvements. And so as we move forward with projects and funding, and we look at available funding, like in this case, park impact fees was a good use of it because it's shovel ready. We've been working on this project for over 7 years, but more aggressively through all the permitting, through DEP, and we were just awarded a $585,000 fine grant in the fall, so we matched it. And so to kind of, when we got to the final project scope with the piers and the pavilions and the gazebos and the parking and the roadway through the park, the total cost was $4.4 million. And so when I look at the budget, the total budget for the Parks Department, we look at For example, Citrus Grove funds have been sitting in there for over 9 or 10 years, unused, untagged, and well knowing that Newfield is going to do something, they're required to do it in their own master plan, according to their development agreement, that this would be a good use of those funds. And then finally, with the active park impact fees. But to Mr. Donaldson's point, I'm actively working on our FY26 CIP program that will include a funding strategy for the Sand Dune Cafe and now the restroom replacement. And I fully expect we'll have insurance proceeds. I fully expect that we'll have more funds and impact fees as we go along each year through the county. And I will have a strategy for all of our projects that we have for the Parks Department.
Any further questions? Commissioner Vargas?
Yes, I understand what Director Abate is saying. We talked about this because I certainly didn't want to have any money taken from Sand Dune Cafe to put to a park in Palm City. It is expensive, the park in Palm City. That's a lot of money, absolutely, a lot of money. I understand what Mr. Abate has said, that he is taking funds that have not been used, put to good use, shall I say, for about 9 years, and allocating them elsewhere. However, the funding cannot cease because we want to put the boat ramp and we want to expand some fields out in Palm City. People come to Martin County for the beaches, and this must be at the forefront of our decisions. And I urge everyone on this board to consider this. So we definitely can have another sit-down, we will. And he's very thorough, and I found nothing that was untoward, that I felt that there might be something lacking. I'm not so certain about Newfield, though. If there's nothing written, just promises, then it doesn't have to be done. So according to what you've said, Chairwoman Hurd. So that's my statement insofar as Sand Dune Cafe, Jensen Beach facilities. Yes, we're going to have hopefully some insurance money that might make a dent in the cost of transforming our area.
Anything else? Let's break for lunch.